One, one, two, three. Good evening and welcome to Connecticut Basketball Spaces. He's back. Good evening, everyone. Presented by Autograph. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear this in the chat. I am trying to use an actual professional microphone to do this for once. If you can't, he's back. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Connecticut Basketball Spaces. Presented by our friends at Autograph. Alex Caravan is officially back in the fold with the Yukon Huskies, and that is tremendously exciting. If folks could give me a thumbs up in the chat, because I'm using a microphone, and I assume that this doesn't work, because usually things I do don't work. But what does work is having Alex Caravan back with the Yukon Huskies. Very exciting, and now we know the full roster for 2023-24. Thanks, everyone, including Penfield with a thumbs down. That was helpful. Mavs in 4, by the way. So, big day across college basketball, obviously, as we have just, everybody's got to make their decision. The NBA draft deadline is midnight, and Alex is back. It's really exciting to have him back, obviously, as now UConn can earnestly dream the impossible dream now, I guess. The chance for a three-peat is very much alive and well. First, trying to line folks up. I'm trying to do a YouTube stream. None of it probably works, but hey, it's May 29th. Megan, very exciting. Yeah, the pain and suffering of others really is rewarding, as much as anything as much as anything else. Um, yeah, that's great. And it's, man, I don't know. Did you have a vibe? I mean, there were really no hints on this. It's Alex's decision. Yeah, it's wild, and what we've seen today between Alex and with a lot of, it feels like basically everybody else is coming back. It's the influence of NIL obviously across the sport, but it's gonna be a hell of a year for college hoops. You got Caleb Love coming back to put up 40 terrible shots a game. Hunter Dickinson's playing his 15th year. Uh, More or less everybody is coming back across college basketball. The big stars, so to speak, that the sport has. Let me see who I had a just Stephen Ashworth also is back. Walter Clayton Jr. at Florida. Caleb Love. The really big, the huge other one today was Mark Sears going back to Alabama. Um, and it's a sign that with NIL being here and obviously the house settlement's its own thing coming, but there's a chance for these guys, even in a quote unquote weak draft, to come back, be the stars at these big programs, and earn a bag. And for a lot of those guys, I don't think their draft stock can really go down. Knock on wood. So I'm excited as a college hoops fan that I'm not going to have to friggin' look up and see Caleb Love highlights on the Grand Rapids Gold next year. Instead, he's going to be doing it. I mean, it's going to be in the Big 12, which is weird, but it's going to be cool to have all these guys like sticking around. Yeah, it's just great to be able to have the opportunity to chase a three-peat, which is not supposed to happen. it's I think it's awesome that we've got this opportunity, and I that had to be a driving force to even consider. I mean, if they make a Final Four next year, it's incredible when you think about it. The odds of all this even happening, and shout out to Olga, Alex's mom. Um, Yeah, and I want to thank Alex. I know the YouTube stream's live. You probably can't hear anything. Uh, Again, I'm working on it. I've got up there on the Evan Mia the projected like 10 guys, and it's ridiculous to see the. Is it? I mean, can we say it's a deeper team? That feels weird, Megan. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah, I don't think it's actually a better roster than last year, but it, there's there are a lot of, and I'm very excited. But are a lot of things that have to happen still. Like there are things that are individually, each of them is realistic, but I don't think you can expect them all to happen. Like Solo's got to show he can shoot above like 33%. We've got to see if Ada Mahaney can kind of find the form he had his first year at St. Mary's with a totally different role, 3,000 miles from home. Liam McNeely's incredibly skilled and talented, but he's a freshman and there's an adjustment. Can I mean can Samson play 25 minutes a game without fouling out? Yeah, he's gonna he's gonna do it again. I actually admire it. He's going down with. I I I I, I appreciate that he's going there with Alabama because I actually think they deserve to be a top three team. I don't know how tonight UConn, Kansas, and Alabama right now on May 28th aren't clearly the three best teams in the country, but yeah, I was always a little against the idea of the ceremonial. We're going to give the defending champs number one. I mean, when they do it 2 years in a row, I, can you just do it for the first 2 weeks and see what it looks like? Like, who's going to come at you for being wrong on that and not sound like an asshole? Well, I just want to note it actually is impossible for Villanova to do it, um, which they can't. They can't. I mean, there's nothing about that kid's academics that weren't known to everybody involved, and then they acted the most surprised party in the world. I assumed it was because they were getting Wooga Poplar. Uh, Now we'll see, because that's not apparently a given. They're a mess though, and I don't care about them. I don't. I mean, we could talk about Seton Hall too, because they're in the same tier if we want. Jake, thank you for joining us. Jake, I should have gone to you first, because you requested first, but uh, I can't start with a Syracuse person, and Megan's awesome. So, Jake, good evening. That's true. That's true. Jake. She'll kill me. I'm hearing it more and more, quite honestly. The Yeah, one of the nice things about it, Jake, is that we don't have to do like the what if now. What if Alex had come back? Because we're gonna find out. Like we are going to get as much out of this 3-year run in terms of possibility here, and we'll see. Like I think they're obviously a top three team, but nothing's guaranteed, and it's not like UConn's the only team getting people back. So it's going to be a lot of fun, though. It's going to be great for the sports. It's going to be great for us. It's going to really suck for the rest of the Big East, and I can't wait.
And is back. It's not even a question, is it, at this point?
Yeah, it's
Considering the recruiting class that UConn brought in, the recruiting class from the year before, how 4 or 5 players stayed from that, um, and how you know how the unit is relatively sticking together. I think that's unique. I think that's amazing, and I don't think everybody in the Big East has that. Right? I think the Big East can essentially get divided into tiers where UConn is in a tier of its own. And then in a half step down from that, you could put Creighton there. Maybe you could put Marquette there. And then you can continue dividing teams from that point on. If Caravan doesn't come back, you might have to put UConn and Creighton maybe at a similar level or at least a similar tier. But at this point, I think you can divide them pretty evenly between to borrow a hockey term, you could put UConn at 1A and Creighton at 1B if you really wanted to. If not, completely separate them into 1 and 2. And that just depends on how much you think Creighton is going to be a good team this year. I think they'll be a pretty good team this year, so I'd have them at a 1A, 1B kind of level as opposed to just a 1 and 2.
I would agree with that. Jake, can you guys hear me? By the way,
Yeah, I can hear you.
this is very exciting. Jake, don't take this personal when the recording goes up, but I have figured out now how to get all the audio in, so it's going to start from here. So,
Oh, great.
welcome back to Connecticut Basketball Spaces. We're all excited that Alex is back. That's me doing a very bad intro. Yeah, it's exciting to see where this team can go now. So I'm going to ask Megan. I'll go to you first. What do you look at in terms of a starting five now with what they've got? I think the backcourt is interesting. I mean, it does. Alex is kind of nice because he's back, but
Right.
the backcourt is where I'm curious.
I have my money on Hassan Diarra being the starting point guard next year. Um, and I think obviously we all think Caravan is starting at the four. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. So you've got some amalgam of Mahaney, McNeely, Solo, and Stewie fighting for the starting role on those two spots. And whichever two of those guys are coming off the bench, I mean that's absurd. Like that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, for me, it's a matter of between Haas and Mahaney at the one spot. I think in the end, I think on May 20th, I think eventually this builds to a place where, and I love Haas to death. I think it builds to a place where Aiden is eventually the point guard. Eventually, just the pedigree there. I think he can do a little more. I mean, Haas was amazing last year, but I'm also a little. I mean, can he do that again?
At 98% that Hassan Diarra is the starting point guard on day one and the last day of the year. I think Mahaney will have the ball in his hands a lot, similar to the way that like Cam did, but I would be shocked if Haas isn't a starter for the entire year, personally.
Yeah, and
I don't know about the entire year, but I completely agree with you have to give Haas the starting spot.
absolutely.
I think he deserves it. For day one, he 1,000% deserves it with the role that he had on the team towards the end of the year, throughout the entire year last year, really. Um, but I think it'll be interesting to see how he develops. I'm going to say character-wise, for lack of a better term, but what I mean by that is how he develops from going from that role as a six man into a bona fide starter, a bona fide leader, one of the people that these guys are really going to look to, whether they've been playing basketball at the college level for a while or whether they're freshmen. I think that's going to be an interesting transition. I have Haas at the 1, and then I have Mahaney at the 2, but I agree in thinking that Mahaney is going to be bringing the ball up the floor pretty consistently. I can see it being split even from those two. I think it all depends on usage and roles, really. If I don't see it getting to a point where, you know,
The other reason I don't
where
think
Haas gets dropped off.
I don't think he's going to leave the starting lineup because he's also our best perimeter defender this year.
Yes.
By a fairly wide margin. And losing someone like Steph Castle, like when you had, like if you looked at the rotation last year, Steph was always the first player off the floor, and Haas was always the first player off the bench. And Haas would stay on the court through the rotation of Tristan and Cam and sometimes even Alex, just to get but Haas was always on the floor through that whole thing. I don't think we have another guy who's as good at defense, perimeter defense, as Haas is this year, and I don't think we can afford to have a guy like that not on the floor most of the time, given how much our defense is taking a hit without Donovan Clingan. Like, you can't take your best defender out of the starting lineup, and I don't think any of those guys are going to end up being better defenders than Haas.
That does bring up a point that I am kind of interested in. I think that's my biggest question mark for the year, right? Like, Steph Castle was fantastic on defense. Tristan Newton was very good on defense, right? Donovan was fantastic inside. I think that's going to be, I'm not even going to say hold the team back, because I've seen what Dan has done with players that were considered not elite defenders and turned them into that. But I'm interested to see how that looks in, if not the first game of the season, like the first real test of the season and the first Big East game of the season, is how good this team looks defensively.
I actually think you might see quite a bit of the thing we joked about last year, but it was great. I think we might see a lot more of Alex at the 5 than we expect, simply to get the bevy of talent they've got. If this thing's rolling right, Alex at the 5 is probably kind of a death offensive machine. I think Liam McNeely, he's too highly rated to not be a starter. I'm sorry, I just think Liam's got a starting spot. You don't want to say locked up, but I think it's a fair assumption at this point, given everything at play.
I just don't know who you bump off. Like, do you bump off Stewie?
Well, this is the thing.
To
like,
fill that role?
If Solo and Stewie make the kind of jumps they could potentially make, like they absolutely could be lock starters. But if those guys end up being so good that they're starters, we are absolutely winning a national championship this year.
Right. Only 5 can be starters. There's only 40 minutes to go around and all that. It's if we're having those problems, we're probably having really good problems, or something. I mean, injuries are always a factor. You hope not, but it's reality. Yeah, I see Jalen. I think Jalen's probably going to factor in at the 5 still, even if it's not like what he was expecting last year, just because it's going to be so hard to get a spot. This is the really nice challenge that the coaching staff now has before them with this team. Is you've got all this talent, and you've got to figure out it's not even a question of keeping people happy, because I think the team's going to gel and they're going to get along, and I don't think there's any issues with that. But it's a matter of how do you get everybody kind of their spots to thrive, and that was something as the season went on last year. Like the way it went along, Solo just kind of lost the spot. I mean, it was because he couldn't shoot, and the season went on. The season was great, and I think I expect him to make the biggest leap of anybody on the team in terms of expectations. I'm expecting a really big Solo ball breakout, because he has a huge opportunity in front of him. There's real guard minutes there. And I think it's almost easier for him to get in, and obviously Ahmad Noel as a freshman, there's a spot there for him as well, but he's kind of the smallest guy on the team. So I think for Solo, there's real minutes there at the 2. It's a question of if he can. Is he going to be in the gym all year, all summer, just shooting jumpers? I mean, probably, but then, the games start and we'll see what happens. I believe in him. I believe in Solo. I believe in the ability. But we've got to see it, and man, it is a tough nut to crack this lineup right now. I'm just stupid excited for it. I know you guys are too. Um, Someone else who is very excited, who is going to be fighting on the front lines of carrying the blue and white banner down in Alabama, all dressed father. You are right there in the belly of the beast. These people are starting to learn college basketball now because they have Mark Sears back.
No, they're not.
Fair. Fair.
They're very happy with their Final Four appearance, and it's football season.
That is true. That team is stacked, though. I mean, all you need to tell them is they took a player from Auburn, and they're going to be interested. Still the funniest thing.
I'm looking forward to Alabama this next year. If they won't enjoy it, I will. But this is not why I'm here. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to thank gentlemen like Mr. Parrish, who have the courage and the strength to stand up to the tyranny that we are invoking on college basketball. Because it's starting to get to the point where even the most diehard of even Providence fans are starting to bend the knee.
Megan,
it's not being fun.
Megan, I have an important question for you. Is UConn bad for men's college basketball? Many are asking.
I mean, not to me. Not to me.
Call an ambulance, but not for me. But as a college basketball program, that's what Dan's got here. Yeah, it's going to be a wild year. I wish somehow we could play Alabama again, because that would be an incredible matchup. That Kansas, the three of them have separated themselves, I think, and it's going to be. They're all in different leagues, so they're kind of going to be in their own corners, and somebody else always shows up as the season goes on that you never expect. I think Gonzaga's had a pretty good couple of days in terms of NBA draft decisions. I expect them to be fighting back in the top 10, and obviously that's going to be the Cooper Flag stuff's going to get shoved down your throats, folks, whether you want it or not. He'll have some teammates. He'll have a couple. They probably won't suck. But it's just an exciting time for the sport. I actually had it up. The whole list of these guys coming back, getting announced is crazy, because we're in that kind of tight window. The fact that we're getting back R.J. Davis, Mark Sears, Caleb Love, Alex, obviously, Johnny Broom, Hunter Dickinson. It's just great for the sport. It kind of reminds me, an old man such as myself, of kind of the way things used to be. But speaking of old men, got the oldest one of them all. Hot balls, he's back. Coming back.
I'm excited. I'm going to be very excited to watch him and Mahaney bomb threes next year. And McNeely bomb threes next year. Everybody's going to bomb threes next year. It's going to be great. It's going to be an exciting time. It's going to be wonderful. We've got like a whole law firm for starting lineup. Great. Lots of content. I'm excited. I'm fired up. Oh my God, what a preposterously difficult decision.
Yeah, it was. I had kind of landed on the he should go side of it, but I can't think of many players who had a harder call, really, because we've said I don't know what the hell his draft slot is, and the teams that were interested in him that you and I had heard were the teams that know what they're doing. So,
yeah,
but they don't have a lot of draft capital because they're really good, and that's what happens when you're good. And it's really hard if you have a chance to make Alex a promise to take him, and where is it? And it's, I mean, it's like 11:30 at night on day 2.
It just depends. I mean, it's not even, he had some teams that were definitely really interested in. When I say interested, very interested. I'm not going to get into any specifics, but it was kind of he's just one of those guys, and this is just one of those draft years. Like we said it last episode, like you go 25 to like into the 50s, like I don't know, dude. Like you just pick a guy. It honest to God comes down to like organizational need, preference, all of that. But like in terms of like a real like established talent pecking order, it's kind of just a grab bag there. Now, for a guy like Alex that, isn't a super flashy athlete, like with an Andre kind of thing, like he's just such a freak that like somebody's just going to say, fuck it. Like we're just going to go and, we're going to draft this guy. We're just going to see what's going to happen. This is a freak show athlete, right? Alex is not that. He's really more of like a developed skill, high floor kind of prospect, not a super flashy guy. Um, I think, could I have seen a scenario where, somebody enthusiastic enough could have just said, yeah, I'll take him 26, 27. I mean, I guess, sure. I don't think that's the feedback that he got from anybody. But at the same time, I could have seen him going completely undrafted and being a free agent sign. So, I mean, it's risky. But then on the flip side, you're looking at the landscape this year, you know, how much is he measurably going to help his draft stock next year? I don't know, right? Like, what's the extra year going to do? Um, so that's a much more difficult call. It'll be more of a competitive draft field next year on top of it. So like, I don't know, man. He was the ultimate like tweener. Just must have been tough. But he took all his interviews. I think he got positive feedback. There were teams that really liked him. Um, but all things considered, you know, I also heard through circles that like he just kind of wasn't ready to leave yet. And sometimes it's just that. And we saw a lot of guys kind of in that that space decide to come back. Hunter Salas is headed back to Wake Forest. So, a lot of different guys kind of in that tweener spot right now, making the decision to come back to college. But, um, was it a money driven thing? I mean, I'm sure there's probably going to be more of a guaranteed thing for him here. But again, you get the right team that's got enough interest, you don't know. So, I mean, it's just a really tough process. I'm glad he took all the time he did to make the decision. Like you really can't do anything more. You can't say that he wasn't thorough about it. So, uh, regardless, what's done is done. He's back, which for me, because I'm selfish, is fucking great. So, um, really, really important to get him back in the program. I think one for continuity. Um, obviously, I think sort of one of the concerns, with this roster this year upcoming. You don't have Alex on it. There just isn't that like alpha dog, like leader in the locker room that's there. I think Hassan's kind of got it in him, right, to get there, but it's not like a guy with the gravitas to say like an Andre Jackson, an Alex, that guy that's kind of just giving, it's been there, been around the block, like is a direct product, whose success is a real testament to the program, right, that you can buy into. Samson's just not that kind of guy. That's not a knock on him, but like that's just not who he is, right? Hi, Samson. Um, so I think having that guy there is going to be really important, particularly with a team that I think is going to be demonstrably younger this year than last year's club was. And so to have that guy be here is going to be huge. And Dan talks about it all the time. I mean, Alex is really the nerve center of the team. And while this year probably didn't have the shooting year that he really wanted to, just impacted games in so many different ways. Um, and made tremendous strides defensively. So, he's going to be in the running for Big East Player of the Year this year. I think absolutely. I think having him back is huge. I mean, we can speculate about rotations until the cats come home. I think we have so many guys on this roster that I'm just fine with however it kind of shakes out, just in terms of talent. It's really now just going to kind of come down to fit and um, and how guys perform in the summer and into the fall here, and trust this coaching staff's going to get it right. So, I mean, I'm thrilled that he's back. I think it's more important for the team than people realize, particularly in the locker room. I'm thrilled. It's best case scenario for them. I think, all things considered, this is a great offseason for UConn.
I had a realization just now. I was going to make the argument that, along what you said, that it's really important to have Alex back so that they have a guy in the locker room or on the court they can turn to when things are going a little sideways and who's been there before. And it occurred to me, when have things been going sideways? Like, what is the well,
January 23 where things are going sideways, but other than that, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of sideways.
We're going to get some adversity this year. It's in there. I swear it's coming, folks. It's going to happen. I know nobody's on YouTube. I finally got the audio to work. Connor O'Neill noted that it's possible with the way their schedule is that Creighton plays Kansas, Alabama, and UConn. And Greg McDermott quote tweet, great facepalm emoji. So welcome to hell, Greg.
That's a gauntlet for him. I feel bad
Whoa,
for him.
it's rough.
Yeah, well, to a point. I mean, Creighton did pull out of a tournament to go for the cash bag tournament in Vegas. So,
Is it in Vegas or is it in Henderson?
No, the cash bag one is going to be at T-Mobile. They pulled out of Atlantis, I believe, to go to that. We can talk about that in July when we really get to the end of the world.
Our
content.
annual MTE review episode.
Oh, I've got the list going, Jake. I hope I hope you know that Texas and Ohio State are opening the season in Las Vegas.
Again, in Vegas or in Henderson?
I hope it's Henderson. I hope it's the Dollar
you
Loan.
have to ask every time.
I hope it's the Dollar Loan Center. God, some of the schedules are coming out, and just Lord give me strength. Well, the worst thing about it too is now it's going to kill the tournaments that are notable, yet alone the shitty ones in like Moncton, and the schedules are going to get filled really late. A lot of these MTEs are going to be screwed because the ones that have NIL money are going to get people, and the ones that don't aren't, and you're going to see people going bankrupt in the scheduling world, and that's just kind of the way things go.
What do you mean the shitty one in Moncton?
The beautiful one in Moncton.
Exactly.
Hot ball is a pretty big day for Alabama too. Actually, while we've been on air here,
I was just looking that up because
Yep.
that was the guy I'm so removed from the world right now. I'm living in my own hot balls interstellar dimension, and the first guy I thought about after Alex Caravan was Mark Sears.
Yep, Sears announced he's coming back,
boy.
and Jaron Stevenson in the last hour announced he's coming back. So Alabama's going to be friggin' loaded.
Yes.
They found some NIL money, to say the least. But he's going to be back. And it's fun because almost everybody's either coming back and going somewhere of note, or is coming back and announcing that they are available in the transfer portal for the largest bag of cash that Coleman Hawkins can possibly find. So that is Coleman Hawkins is back, but we don't know where. So I don't know if Rick Pitino is going to be making a phone call there, or Kyle Neptune. But Coleman Hawkins is back in search of a bag. James Murphy is going to the draft, I believe. Caleb Love is back. Florida Atlantic had one also that led to the unironically used term, all the NBA scouts following the AAC will be focused on that. I didn't expect that. Wooga Poplar is pulled out of the draft, and he's going to look at Oregon next week. He's going to end up at Oregon, I think. AJ Stanton McCrary is no longer committed to FAU. He's a Samford transfer. So stuff keeps going, and it's between that and the transfer portal. It's great if you're doing a college basketball show and need content in May. Malik Diaz going back to Ole Miss. Another person who had a huge day, hot balls, is Bobby Hurley.
Yeah. Talk about random, right? Did Shannon end up committing for sure?
He did. Sanan is committed. So in the last month, they've gotten 2 5-stars to go to Arizona State. So Dan even tweeted about it, which was great. So rubbing off some of the gold dust on his brother here. It's about time Bobby Hurley finally caught a break, huh? You know, that guy's never had a success in his life. So
time to give Bobby some time in the limelight. Give him his time.
Yeah, I mean the problem is he's going to the Big 12. Like, what the hell's the ceiling? I mean, what? You know, nobody wishes they were still in they were still a Pac-12 more than Bobby Hurley right now, because they would have been able to make some hay there. It's going to be hard. They're going to have a really loaded up. They have the number 3 class in the country at Arizona State, so that's a lot of fun. Walter Clayton Jr. back to Florida. Also the news. So we'll keep an eye on it. The deadline is midnight. I'm sure I'm missing one because there's a billion of these guys. It feels like the big names we now know. If Megan or Hotballs, if you know, is there anybody big in college hoops that we aren't sure about?
I don't think so.
I know that Doster's listening and screaming at his phone. Rob, you can request and tell me the 5th leading scorer on Wichita State who's going to fucking change the game or whatever. I can't think of anybody right now. So it's very exciting. There's also a really weird one. Can we discuss Jay-Z Zahar at Bowling Green? He's staying in the draft. Jay-Z Zahar, in 2 years at 2 separate Mid-American Conference programs, has played a total of 9 games.
Oh, yeah, dude. Respect my decision season.
Last year, he was 1 of 8 from the field.
It's not the love.
In his... Yeah, he's made 1, 2... He has 5 points in his college basketball career, and he is staying in the NBA draft. His family also owns the Pistons, so he's going to be fine. But... So this one, he'll be fine, but in terms of weird decisions, that's an all-timer. A Bowling Green kid who scored 5 points is staying in the draft.
Can you imagine being the Detroit Pistons GM right now? Or the director of scouting, and then you're going to get to the second night of the draft, and the big boss man's going to come waddling into the office. He's going to have a name for you.
Boy, are you ready for... because it's going well for the Pistons. You know what they really need to get this thing kick-started? Yeah, that's...
A little Maction. That's what they need.
That's brutal. Here's Peyton Sandfort is going back to Iowa. That's a big one for them. I mean, the Big Ten has 94 teams now. Iowa's finishing 7th, maybe. Somto Cyril is going back to Georgia. Are they going to have 60 guys? Well, they're going to be a lot of European guys. The second night's going to be a lot of Eastern Europeans because everybody's going back to college hoops, and it's great. It's because it's the sport we love. We're gonna have We're gonna have some recurring characters for once. Hot balls. That's gonna be kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, in a weird way, added a little bit more continuity. Maybe guys might be in some different places, but we're seeing a lot of the same faces. So, I'm okay seeing it. The Mark Sears one, that's nuts. They're going to look really good next year. So not a team I would want to see in the tournament.
Yeah, I'm asking you this on on May 29th. I kept saying 28th. It's good off-season content when I can't get the friggin' day right. I think Kansas, UConn, and Alabama are kind of on a tier above. I don't know if you have tiers ready, given that we have 5,000 guys in the portal right now, but I feel like those 3 have separated themselves.
I put Baylor in there, too.
I would like the Baylor game to be tomorrow. I need UConn Baylor tomorrow. I need UConn Baylor tomorrow.
Yeah, those would be the 4 that stuck out most to me. I mean, I'll deep dive. I mean, Arkansas is picking up anything that moves. We'll see what happens in a couple other places. I think Duke will be interesting, but I don't have any faith in their coach. So
no, did they get 11 guys? I think they did. I think they got there, and I
think they're there at this point. Yeah,
they'll have enough talent. Yeah, I'm looking. The Alabama roster is really It's nuts. Forgot they have Cliff. They have Grant Nelson again. Yeah, that's a serious team. That's serious stuff. I'm actually willing to. I kind of buy Alabama more than Kansas right now, just because. I mean, I saw Kansas last year, and I saw Alabama, and I know which one of them I saw in Arizona, and which one I very much did not. So we shall see. But it's very exciting for UConn to get at. One of the cool things, double back with you, before you jumped on, was it's just neat with Alex to now we won't have the what if thing. What if Alex came back? Well, he's coming back, so we're gonna see. I mean, a three-peat seems like the most unrealistic thing I've ever hoped for, other than a New York Rangers Stanley Cup. But unlike a New York Rangers Stanley Cup, this could actually happen. I guess they've got a. They're taking a shot at it, man. This is as loaded as they could make this thing.
Yeah, I mean the depth and the talent is clearly there. It's just going to be. It's going to come down on how big of a step forward I think can Samson take. Uh, you know, um, how well do they continue to develop the guys in the front court? It's going to be a huge question. Um, Terrace has got some work to do. So does Samson. I love the shooting. Perimeter shooting is going to be preposterous next year. I think we're going to be terrifying. Are we going to have as many sort of flat out dominant players next year? I'm not sure of that, but um, just in terms of the overall quality and depth of the team, I think the potential of this group is going to be enormous. Although with this group, I said this last year to a degree. I really mean it this time. There could be some interesting hiccups early in the season as they kind of make that step forward. But I think by the time we get around to March, there's potential for this team to be extraordinarily high level. I'd say as a collective group, the raw talent level on this team is even higher than last year's.
I mean, it's a bold statement, but I guess I get it. It's we got to see. We have to actually, obviously see it happen. But you can dream on a lot of these guys. Like you can dream on the solo breakout. You can dream on what we've seen, what Noel did at the high school level. Uh, Aiden Mahaney, what he did his freshman year, especially, and Liam McNeely. I mean, you go watch 5 minutes of highlights and you start sweating. So it's really excited what they've put together is just an offensive juggernaut. I mean, it's going to be a team that leans more offense than defense, I think, out of the gate. But I trust this coaching staff to get as much out of this group defensively as can be gotten. And
and I also think too that the thing that's going to help the coaching staff in particular dealing with this group, there's a lot more carrot on the stick to these guys. Like, and that's not to take. I mean, we just watched one of the greatest college basketball teams ever last year. But barring any kind of disaster, I mean, Donovan was pretty much on a beeline to the NBA. Steph was pretty much on a beeline to the NBA. Like these guys didn't have to make super significant steps right out of the box, kind of secure a future for themselves. That I think this crew does, right? And there's a carrot on the stick for everybody here. So that incentive I think is going to be strong. I'm just at this particular point in time, kind of just more or less relieved they were able to get Alex back. I think that there was the missing piece, and it's less of a talent issue, right? Skill on the court, more of like a guy that can really kind of be that locker room leader and continue to be sort of the nerve center of the program that they can continue to build on and instill with a lot of the younger guys here that are going to be coming in and are going to be hungry for playing time, wanting to make noise, but are also going to have to make some significant steps in some key areas.
yeah, well, I'm a lot more relieved about it when I see that everybody else is getting their guys back too, basically. So it would have been hard enough, just trying to go find somebody to replace Alex. in the portal when it feels like everybody else is going back to their schools. One big one that is not going back. David Jones has realized that Penny Hardaway is not going to prepare him more for the next level. He will be going to the NBA draft.
What, playing at North Texas or UTSA's gym?
Yeah,
Isn't going to be the answer.
that it actually didn't surprise me because I can see him as an NBA player more immediately than some of these guys, and apparently the Memphis fans thought FedEx giving them NIL money meant that he was just going to stay. No, it's not how this works. Well, I'm bringing Jaden to join us because Jaden can do a good job of giving us kind of the broader picture as well as UConn. Jaden, this feels like election night, kind of. We're just waiting on results from everyone. Is there anyone I'm missing in terms of we're waiting on a big decision from?
Did you mention Johnny Furphy because he's staying in the draft? He's not
Yes.
coming back to Kansas.
Yeah, Furphy staying in the draft is that a little surprising? And also that's part of why I like Alabama more. I should have mentioned that. Yeah, that's kind of a big loss for them in terms of, I don't know. I would argue the less continuity they have with last year's team, maybe the better. But
I feel like you've mentioned everybody else, and yeah, you know what? Now that I look at Bama's roster, and you mentioned Cliff Amore, Sears is back, Nelson is back, and I'd rather not look at him after what he did to Carolina and what he did for the first 28 minutes in Arizona. But Bama's a legit top 5 team going into the season.
yeah, I expect them to get a lot of number one preseason votes, and I'm fine with it. We said earlier, Jam, before you were on, like, I don't like the ceremonial number one thing, but Jesus, if this UConn team hasn't earned it, who will? But if they're gonna give it to Bama instead, fair enough. Like, I'm already angry 22 weeks out about the Duke preseason number one votes. I just, Lord give me strength. But
Well,
Bama's a fair one.
Don't put it out there and stop being fucking negative like you already have been about the Ranger Cup. They're going to win Game 5 tomorrow night.
4 overtimes. I'll be dead, but yes.
Don't go there. It's
No.
going to be a regulation fucking win. Come on.
It is. They're due for one. So, Jane, I'm looking around the league, and for the two folks looking on YouTube, the YouTube stream, I've got the Torvik 2025 preseason rank, and it's got Creighton graded out just ahead of UConn at 6th
Again?
overall. Yeah, well, Ashworth's back, so Creighton in terms of the Big East, it's got Creighton.
Oh boy, Creighton's losing their best player, and it's not Shireman.
That's fair. That's fair. I would take us over Creighton right now, personally,
I
but
would take Marquette over Creighton also.
I need to. I believe that Marquette can be there. I need to see it. I mean, the player they're losing was so critical to everything they did, and it's going to be weird to see them without Tyler Kolek after the last couple of years. But I trust Shaka to get them there eventually. But I more like using this because to like do tiers more than specific 1-2.
Okay.
It feels like it's. What would you say how do you look at the top tier of the Big East? Is it UConn and then a gap? Is it UConn and a couple of teams then a gap? Kind of how do you break it down?
I would say UConn, slight but fairly significant gap, and then Marquette and Creighton 2-3.
You're not buying the St. John's thing yet?
Not yet. I think a lot of us bought into St. John's with Tino Sticker last year and then watched how all the transfers meshed together. I want to be a little more cautious with them, but I do think they're a top 5 team in the conference. I would have them in the second tier with Xavier and possibly Villanova if they get the kid from Miami. If they don't get him, and I don't know if they will, then they're probably in tier 3 with Providence, but St. John's and Xavier right now are a comfortable 4-5 for me.
And then I can't stop following the train wreck that is on the main line. Villanova.
It's kind of addictive at this point.
What is life, yo?
They got the injury news today too. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Yeah,
I mean, getting
Canadian kid that I never heard of until today.
So I'm calling bullshit on this NIL thing with the Shugla thing. That's total bullshit.
He had a
Sugar
1.6
failed like
GPA.
7 billion classes at VCU.
Yeah.
That's why he's not going to Villanova. Like, you can't go out and say, well, because Sugar was apparently on our radar, and the problem was he was on a lot of people's radars, and he just, I mean, I'm going to be surprised if he's an academic qualifier. Like, look, you don't have to be like a super duper brain genius to go to Villanova if you're good enough at basketball, but you've got to pass more than one class. Like, you can't go to Villanova and just not go to class. Like, it's just not one of those places. There are places he can go, like VCU, that will probably allow it. I don't believe for a minute that VCU outbid Villanova for NIL bucks for a guy.
No chance.
It's complete and total bullshit. Maybe that's the way that they're protecting the kid, right? But
It's an argument in
Villanova, it
VCU's.
looks bad because it looks bad for them either way. Because if they got outbid for somebody by an A10 for a player that they had already gotten to verbally commit, that makes them look bad and raises some eyebrows because they spent an egregious amount of money on basketball players last year that didn't pan out, didn't perform up to expectations. Could that be NIL donors sitting there and going, yeah, we're not just going to launch the money cannon at anybody this year? It's a possibility, right?
Their NIL bill was as high as Chris's Uber bill in March.
Yeah, yeah. And, like, on top of that, if he's not getting in because of academic reasons, like, who's not looking at the transcript first? Like, who in that basketball office is like, oh, yeah, we can get this guy in with, like, a negative 6.2 GPA into school? And I'm not saying the Sugar kid's a stupid kid. He's not. He's from Ukraine. There's obviously a lot going on, right? Big culture shift, whatever. There could have been totally justifiable reasons for all of that happening, right? Athletics admissions right now, but like, what is going on?
If you're Baker Dunleavy, who is now overseeing the NIL, and you're an alumnus, you should know that going in.
Yeah, it's not the grades. If Hot Balls and I know about it, Villanova basketball office should know about it.
Yeah,
like,
and I love Baker. He was great to me at Quinnipiac.
Yeah, it's wild to me that were they just flailing? Like, did they think he flunked out of Virginia and not Virginia Commonwealth? It's wild to me, the situation they're in. We talk about it, we joke about it, but I don't know.
I said to Chris when it happened, I'm like, I don't see how they can get him in. That was when he committed. The day he committed, I was like, I don't think that's happening. Like he didn't fail a couple classes. Like, I mean, he's a guy that kills your whole team's athletic GPA. I mean, he's like a nuke to your team's academic performance. So, like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on there. There's no rhyme or reason to anything they're doing, quite like Georgetown. It's a mess. They can't be a mess. We can't, especially kind of how critical things are in college athletics right now. Like, Villanova cannot continue to do this.
Well,
this has to be the end of the line.
It can't be Villanova and Georgetown being clowns at the same time. You need one of them to be there. And Villanova's a lot closer to being up there right now. I mean, Georgetown's 17 feet underwater right now. It's brutal. We talk about it because it's so critical to the league. And I just don't trust the leadership they have there to fix it, and I don't think their fan base at all trusts the leadership there to fix it. So we'll see, but it's hard for them. You mentioned, I'm glad you brought up Jaden Georgetown, because that's I haven't thought about them in 5 months. Um, are are they getting closer here? I haven't looked at the transfers. I'm sorry, folks. I've had a lot going on. Jaded, do they have a chance of being ninth this year?
Well, it was Hotballs who brought up Georgetown, and
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't want to ever give him credit.
they do have a chance to be ninth only because Paul has to prove it to not be picked 11th, and I think Butler fucking sucks.
Well, I was gonna say Seton Hall doesn't have players, so
Well,
now they have a couple. They got a couple back.
Adi was just back.
God, that's how
Yeah.
sad their NIL situation is. They got the money to get Adewusu back. Oh God.
see, I have to give Seton Hall the benefit of the doubt because I see them almost more than anybody else, and I know what Shot can do. He'll steal some games, enough games to where that team could be 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean
I'm not gonna say
they'll beat
I'm
UConn
not
at
gonna
home.
say they're 10th or 11th.
They'll beat
Yeah.
UConn at home on a weeknight. That will happen. We'll all be furious.
They'll sweep St. John's.
Yep. Yeah, I try and I believe in Shaw. It's that one. It's like I said this to some folks earlier. Seton Hall and Villanova are both sad, but for very different reasons. Or they're both bad for very different reasons. Seton Hall's might be bad, and it's like you just feel for him, because it's an NIL thing, and Shaw's really good, and they just don't have the resources. Villanova being bad makes you angry because it's just a waste of resources, and the league needs it right now with the TV deal and the media landscape, and it's just I don't trust them to figure it out. Shaw, I just wish they could get him $700,000 more in NIL, and they'd be fine, probably.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I don't know if they're a tournament kid. Like, if they could just get his NIL to like a mildly respectable level,
Oh,
it'd
we have
absolutely be a tournament team 2 out of every 5 years.
we have another draft decision. Peyton Sandfort's back at Iowa.
Yeah, that's a big one for them, but I can't evaluate Big Ten teams because there's 500 of them. Like I don't fucking know.
Guy who couldn't fucking miss when I saw him at the rack against Rutgers.
Yeah, I'm excited for Wooga Poplar, Big Ten Player of the Year at Oregon next year. That's gonna be real. That's
I'm excited for Kevin Willard going out to Oregon and Washington and fucking eviscerating the league for scheduling there.
With yeah, like they're in the league, Kev. I don't know what you want me to do. I'm excited. I haven't pulled up their Big Ten schedule, but is it still going to allow him to schedule the bottom 5 teams in the country? Is my main
Oh,
question.
he-
Jack for Rutgers at Washington next year. I can't even tell you.
He already has an up game with Mount St. Mary's.
God, does he know he's got like a top 10 kid in next year's draft on his team, so he has to
Hold
try?
on a second. I retweeted this last week. Yeah, here we go. Rocco Miller, who is
Rocco's the
excellent
best.
when it comes to
I
scheduling.
love Rocco.
Listen to these up games for Maryland, and it's so unlike Kevin in recent years. UMES,
Go Hawks.
Canisius, SFU, Mount St. Mary's, and FAMU.
Oh, Christ!
Yeah,
Although you've
It's
got to
like
be
a Coolio
excited.
music video.
You've got to be. It is like a cool.
A fantastic voyage.
All right, Jaden, you're going to be at what 10 Rutgers games this year? Because you go to 10 when they suck. Now they actually have talent.
and they have a game with Syracuse. I forgot to add in the other little major opponent.
Thank you, thank you for noting that.
Perfect.
Sam's doing his own show. I don't have anybody to attack me for that.
That's fair. No, it's true. So, yeah, Rutgers, another gauntlet in the non-conference. We did see today one of the weirder non-conference schedule games I've ever come across. Indiana just bought South Carolina for a bye game.
I saw that.
Just a-
What?
oh yeah, you've been busy with life.
South Carolina's playing a bye game in Bloomington.
Yep, one off. South Carolina, they have $70 billion in TV money. They sold themselves to Indiana for one
Why?
game.
For what?
You think I know? I probably would know.
Why
I
is
don't know.
Indiana being like, hey man, we got to go buy ourselves a Power 5 conference quota. Let's go get the South Carolina Gamecock.
It is the team they would do it. Like we could buy one, but we need it to be like we'll probably win. I don't know if they will. I mean, South Carolina was a tournament team.
Is that where we're at now? You got to pay teams big stacks of cash to come play at your barn now.
Pretty
Guys,
much.
that big with pussies about it.
I
Is
want
that what we're doing?
I want the details on it, but I'm also like scared because if they paid South Carolina, Jaden, help me out. A buy game's usually around 80, 90 grand, right? For like a
Yeah.
St. Francis at UConn or something. Like,
Yeah.
if Indiana paid South Carolina 250 grand, that's a sliding scale that's not going to go well for UConn or for a lot of schools because, like, I was
fucking insane.
when I saw it, I tweeted, I'm like, these are two schools that have never thought of each other. But I'm like, oh, well, it's a home and home. That's cool. I mean, it's weird, but at least. And then no, it's a buy game. I'm like, really? This is where we're at to get an actual fucking home game? And hey, shout out to Rodney Terry. UConn got one with Texas. It's a honest to goodness by God home and home. We got one. The two of them are willing to do one, but like, there's not a lot out there. And the Duke Kansas one that all the college basketball media was going nuts over what good news it was. Disagree. Like they play fucking one game at Cameron and one at Allen Fieldhouse in 5 years. We're supposed to celebrate that.
Yeah,
That's how fucking depressing this shit is now.
yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, South Carolina is going to Bloomington for one game. I hope it's on Big Ten Network. I hope it's on Peacock. I want to see how weird we can make that. The weirdest
It
fucking.
might be. Rutgers, Indiana was a Peacock game in January when I was out there. And to get back to your last question, I don't finalize my schedule until probably mid-September after TV fucking dictates everything for everyone. But it's not going to be as insane or as sicko as last year. I'm trying to cut back a little bit, but my priorities are going to be the big three high majors down here, plus UConn, whatever UConn games I'm able to get to, I will. And then I'll just fit in the MAC and Hofstra with whatever other open dates I have. Ideally, I'm in the 70s at some point for my game count when I get to San Antonio.
That's right. I had Posty in here. I'm sorry I didn't go to you, buddy. Now he dropped out because I ramble.
By the way,
we're all going to be at
for-
Posties next year. If we go back to the Final Four again, Hot Balls, we're going to be in debt again, but we have somebody to crash with. So,
By the way, for those of you in the New York area, round trip on JetBlue from Kennedy Airport to San Antonio is under $400 right now.
is that for next April or for just like in general?
That's for April for the week of the Final Four. I almost booked it. I haven't done it yet, but I've been tempted already.
It's pretty depressing when 11-month lead time is still $400. I got to be honest. Oh God, this team refuses to have any of us in here listening have any hope of a retirement fund, of money accumulation of any kind.
400's not bad.
It's not bad.
Less expensive than Phoenix was.
Well, let me tell you about Phoenix. Yeah.
Jay, this is when I go back to my hill. It would have killed any of the 17 NFL teams closer to build. Just one of them build the dome. Just one. Thank you, Lions. Thank you.
Right?
Just one. Baltimore couldn't build one? Like, really?
Philly?
Can you imagine the Final Four of Baltimore?
Yes. Just listen. First of all,
rule.
they would
Why
absolutely.
couldn't Philly do it?
They would call it Washington. They would claim it was D.C., just like the Meadowlands in '96 was New York. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, Philly would have been good.
Just like BTN shows B-roll of Manhattan during every fucking Rutgers broadcast.
Right. Yeah, no, it would have
Knowing
killed.
knowing that Piscataway is an hour drive on a good day.
Yeah, the two ones I wanted hot balls were Buffalo or Baltimore. That would have been great.
Buffalo. Oh, my.
Buffalo Final Four.
Yeah, actually, what's the most like of the mainstream cities? What's the most miserable outside of Houston? Obviously, what's the most miserable potential Final Four host you could possibly think of?
It's a
Like
good.
what?
I've been to Indianapolis, and so I know that's not the answer. But boy, was I thinking about it. I had a good time in Indy.
I'm looking forward to Indy in 2 years.
They could get it because I mean, Cleveland did a good job with the women's Final Four, but it's Cleveland.
Indy already got it, 26 and
Right.
29.
Indy gets it every 3 years because the NCAA headquarter deal.
Yeah.
So they move that. But like everything else, they'll move it to Vegas. So, Hotballs, are you asking in terms of
Do like
cities?
a Milwaukee Final Four. Let's get really.
Yeah, let's
pumped
put
up.
it in Miller Park. Okay.
Atlanta is due for one.
Okay.
Did you man that?
Well, Wisconsin, of course, played a game at. They played a basketball game at Miller Park. I think Wisconsin played Arizona there 2 years ago. God,
It's not
I
Marquette,
could remember
which would have made
anything.
perfect sense.
Yeah, no, the Egg Bowl Bedlam should be at Miller Park every year. So it's got to be one where they could actually. They have a dome of some sort.
So with the Buffalo Bills new stadium, are they doing the dome thing?
No,
or
no,
the
it's
roof
not
thing?
domed.
No, it's going to be open air.
It's $70
Okay.
bajillion and it's open air. No, the Bills
Right.
kind of have to be outdoors.
Yeah,
I don't.
no, I couldn't imagine a Buffalo Bills football game and it having it like normal weather.
I think given that they had a college football game there and UConn won it and college football runs everything, why can't they put the Final Four at Sky Dome? Can they just put it in Toronto?
Oh, just go. Yeah, I mean we're going overseas anyways. Let's do it. Let's do it. Where would be a good spot to do it?
BC
In Europe.
Place would be great
Amsterdam.
in Vancouver.
The Amsterdam Final Four. Could you imagine half the degenerates in this space in Amsterdam for a UConn Final Four?
Oh, God.
And Jaden,
You-
I'm sorry.
You imagine
I
how
have-
many people would end up polluting a canal somewhere?
And Jaden, let's be fair. The college basketball media in Amsterdam.
Oh, Christ.
that would finally get Jeff Goodman in trouble. That's all I'll say. I don't even know how. I don't know what would happen.
And Zagoria.
Zagoria would be in trouble. Realistic American ones. My Marlins Park, that would be bad. That'd be really
I would love
depressing.
Miami.
Yeah, that would suck. Oh, Miami is.
Ones that haven't had it. I mean, of course, the Carrier Dome. That would be funny.
Atlanta is due for one. Atlanta was supposed to get it during the COVID year.
I can't believe they didn't give him one when they announced the sites like 2 years later. They
And
didn't.
fucking Jerry World got another one.
Yeah, which talking to folks who went in 14, it was not great. It went better than the Super Bowl went there.
Dallas is just so spread out. Like it's legit 45 minutes between 50 minutes, almost an hour
Wow.
between Fort Worth and Dallas. And Jerry World is kind of pooped right in the middle of the two.
I thought New Orleans would get another one.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
No,
got one.
New Orleans did not get another one after 22.
That's interesting.
God.
I wonder if they're
Yeah.
wondering on the long-term Superdome replacement for that.
Well, they also gave Vegas the first one in 28. So
Right. Yeah, they couldn't wait. So yeah, Vegas is going to steal all of New Orleans' well-earned shine as the lewd Final Four host or the lewd host of sporting events. I feel for New Orleans. Vegas
It's
is
not
taking.
even gonna be. It's gonna be the
Vegas
Bubba
saves me
Gump
hotel
Shrimp
money
Factory
because my mom has a
Final
timeshare.
Your mom has a timeshare in Vegas.
She does.
That's fantastic.
It's like 3 blocks off the strip. It's fucking phenomenal.
Wait, which one is it near?
Your mom is like a huge gambling addict, huh?
No, she's not actually.
Out of Queens, how many times did you have to go fetch her at Belmont? Be honest, or Yonkers? Was she
None.
banned from the two? Is that why?
None. I'm the one who goes to the track.
Hell yeah.
Mama Haley's out there watching the Greyhounds go round and around.
Jaden, are you aware of the conflict that we hopefully will have a week from Saturday?
Enlighten me.
Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final is scheduled for Saturday, June 8th. The first
Correct.
ever Belmont Stakes at Saratoga,
At Saratoga.
is Saturday, June 8th.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot that was in Saratoga.
Was they're renovating Belmont.
I actually don't think it'll be that big of a shit show because Saratoga is so, like, small. and so
Yeah.
wildly expensive for like the August meets. I cannot fucking imagine the Airbnb prices for the Belmont.
Saratoga fucking rules.
It's
Can
the
we
best.
just be
It's
honest?
awesome.
It is if there's anybody out there that has not gone up there, it is the perfect like overnight weekend kind of thing. Like go on a Friday, or do like the Saturday to Sunday.
And,
It
and
doesn't even really matter what races you're at.
I've
Like-
never been, and the more tragic thing about that is my birthday usually falls right around the Travers because I'm mid to late August. So
Travers is insanity. Avoid Travers at
Yeah,
all costs.
Travers is bad.
my birthday is usually between the Alabama and the Travers.
Yeah, go and do the weekend after the Travers, or the second last. They usually have two more weeks of
Oh
races.
God,
after
you
that.
want the absolute fucking dog shit races.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, again, that's the Hopeful, the Woodward.
I like the
The
Woodward.
Woodward. I was there for the Woodward. I think.
I remember when the Woodward used to be at Belmont.
Yeah, and so anyway, it fucking rules. It's $10 to get in, but you can bring all your own shit. So everybody just bring coolers of beer. It is a fucking degenerate mess, and you just bet on the ponies. Speaking of compulsive gamblers, I saw a side of my wife at Saratoga that was very concerning
Oh
for
boy.
me. Yeah, like I think my wife, low key, is a massive gambling addict. I have this conversation with her all the time. I'm a little worried. Now, my wife is a saintly human being. All right, she's married to me. Okay, very high pain tolerance. Clearly, being married to somebody like me. Never. I don't think she's ever yelled at me in my entire life. I can't remember of any time she ever yelled at me. And then we went to Saratoga, and like the race would be over, she'd look at her ticket and like panic rush to the place to go place more bets on more horses. Like, and I'm sitting there like moseying in. I'm just drinking beer. You go right out to the guardrail. You go right there, watch the whole thing. I'm having a good time. And she's screaming at me. She's like, "Get in there! We gotta make more bets! Hurry up! You're gonna be late!" Like shrieking at me. I was like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? What's going on?" And she's like, like totally blew me off. Went off, and I'm just watching her like fight with the betting machine. She has no idea what she's doing. That's the worst part. And it was bad. So I mean, she blew through a couple $100. Like it was like nothing.
Wow.
And it was like, yeah, we should probably be betting more. So would probably, and I'm like, just no, stay away.
It's I can't recommend Saratoga enough. It's actually like it's way more economical than doing most things leisure wise are nowadays. You can go up there. You don't really have to bet on the horses. Like Hopal says, $10 to get in. It's awesome. It's one of the oldest sporting venues in North America. So there's the historical value. It's great.
The history up there is preposterous.
Yeah,
Like
it's insane.
It's unbelievable. And like for UConn fans who understandably are probably on a limited entertainment budget this summer after the fucking financial ruin that this team has put us through the last couple of years, boy, is Saratoga a spot for you. But yeah, you can go there, you can get a bench, you can do the whole 9 yards, you get right up on the railing. Concessions are good if you choose to not bring an entire feast and liquor store with you. They're not outrageously priced there. There's just all sorts of shit going on. It's great. I mean, you can sit up in the grandstand, but being down with the rabble on the railing is the fun stuff for me. And then downtown Saratoga, super underrated as like a hot spot, like super underrated. So can't recommend it enough. Saratoga, if you're looking for a weekend.
And if you were to go up to Saratoga, you know what would be great to bring with you? Some Martin Russell sausage. Want to take a minute to shout out our one of our wonderful sponsor, Martin Russell's on 45 Grove Street in New Britain. It is summertime. It is grilling season, people. It's getting serious now. Do not let this brief cold front fool you. It is going to be Hotball's favorite weather later this
So
week.
awful.
Hot. Red
Terrible.
hot. Not as
Disgusting.
hot as a Martin Russell sausage, though. 45 Grove Street, New Britain. You can order online on their website. They're very much with the times, folks. martinrussell.com. If you place orders by Sunday at 10 p.m., they can ship that week. They ship UPS around the country. They've got lots of stuff on their website in terms of meats. You got the 1 pound kielbasa patties package. You got veal loaf, 10-inch Frankfurter packages. Kizka, blood sausage, people. It is blood sausage season. And kielbasa chubs. That was what Hotballs had when he heard the Alex Caravan news. He had a kielbasa chub.
I like my meats like I hate my weather.
Check them out, martinrussell.com, 45 Grove Street in downtown New Britain. Want to thank them for supporting Connecticut Basketball Spaces. Another supporter of ours, the Feel Good Lab, who, Hotballs, I don't know if you saw, but Terrace Reed's getting creamed up.
Is Terrace Reed getting creamed up?
Oh, he's getting creamed up. The folks at the Feel Good Lab are welcoming him into the Yukon family. Lots of creams, lots of ways to feel better to help get through this very difficult off season for you. Lots of all the aches and pains of whatever the hell happened to you that weekend in northern Arizona. Are you over those yet? Those aches and pains?
I'm not. I'm honestly still recovering. I'm so tired right now. I can't.
Yeah, the Feel Good Lab's philosophy is simple. No junk, just functional ingredients working together to target the root causes of conditions. There are many conditions in this fan base. And if you want to help those out, check out the Feel Good Lab, a proud partner of Connecticut Basketball Spaces and Yukon Men's Basketball. And, of course, we are brought to you by Autograph. If you haven't yet downloaded the Autograph app, please, if you could help us out, use the code SPACES. That'll help us out. Lots of great actual content on there, even in May. All the NBA draft news with Alex Caravan right there in an aggregated feed from some of your favorite content creators and also us. So we want to thank our three sponsors, Martin Russell's, the Feel Good Lab, and Autograph. If anybody else wants to jump in and talk about Alex or about anything else, feel free to request in. While I wait for that, Hotballs, I think it's time that you were held to account. I opened up a website to track a baseball team because it is summer. It is America's pastime.
Unfortunately,
and it's available to the two people who are looking at this on YouTube. If I can get this to load up, which of course I can't. There it is. Get rid of that. I opened up a website and I saw a certain box score: Bravehearts 10, Starfires nothing. Will you care to explain yourself?
Tough opening day at Ball Yard. We have about 6 full-time players, so this is what happens early season in the futures. Had 2 innings get away from us, just solid. Other than that, but we gave them receipts the next night, so we're good. And then we haven't played since then.
Yeah,
rainouts, some tactical cancellations. Tomorrow will be. we
refusing to pull the tarp.
Defending champion C. Postradamus tomorrow at Bullens Field for a school day game at 10:30, where a bunch of kids are going to get poured on. And then we have our kind of official opening day that we do for the fans. Our first 6:30 game at home will be Friday night, and most of my team will be here by Tuesday. So, hey, it's that time of year. Everybody's in the NCAA tournament, still waiting on getting some of our heavy artillery back. Yeah,
I pulled up
early season futures league. I was at a house doing a walkthrough today. I moved 2 beds in. I've got logistics for
not more
players going on.
Not more furniture. Not more furniture.
Yeah, no, I built 2 beds today.
Oh,
That's
God.
what I did. That's what I did. Just for I almost called you, but there was professionals there. They did, by the way, 4 beds in half the time that it would have taken you and I to put a basic bed.
Absolutely. Did they also try drop kicking portions of it together?
I almost got whiplash. I was watching them in 2 different bedrooms, just fucking NASCAR pit teams are like, everything's coming together. I'm like, oh, wow. Where were you guys in January? We could have seen an entire MAC basketball game instead of 15 minutes.
Didn't we almost have it all? Yeah, I have the Futures League standings up. It's very funny. The Road Warriors are in first place at 2-0, and then the Sea Postradamuses are a half game back at 4-1. So it's a little uneven with the schedule right now. But that's
You're talking about MAC basketball. Make sure you get to Merrimack and Sacred Heart next season.
That's right. That's right. That league is growing. The MAC is finally growing its presence in Connecticut. It's long overdue. When are they going to let Central in?
Oh, now that Merrimack is in, there's a chance that it could return to Springfield and we can get Massachusetts back.
That's right. Let me see if this works on this soundboard. Hold on. Long overdue, the return of Massachusetts. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, July 1st, we get all the stupid conference moves official, except the Pac-12 ones, apparently. Speaking of baseball, hot balls, before we go, we should discuss UConn. They got their Jaden. You're the school closest to your heart, the St. John's Red Storm. Congrats to them on winning the Big East.
My favorite play-by-play job I've ever had in 17 years, St. John's baseball.
So the Big East got 2 bids, did not get 3, which was the hope. But
Jaden, when were you at St. John's doing that?
Graduated in 08, but I didn't start broadcasting until my senior year, 07. So
were you there when Senatiempo was there?
I was. I called a few games that Nick pitched in.
Yeah, Nick is a hot balls ally.
You missed me
nice to know.
You missed me by a year, Jaden. I was 06.
Shit.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I missed Craig Hansen, but I got his brother when Kyle came along.
Yeah. So the UConn baseball team tore apart the Big East in the regular season. It was 17 wins, I believe, which was the most they've had. After a really rough start, hot balls in the non-conference, they got into the much softer Big East and they got things going, but then fell off the wagon out at Prasco last week. They were 2-Q. They lost. They went 0-2 at the conference tournament for the first time since 2000, and there was some unease on Selection Monday for them. Pretty much everybody projecting had them in, but I was looking at it and talking to you, and I'm not as knowledgeable about this as you or Postradamus, even with your backgrounds. And I was like, I don't know, are they in? But the job that Jim Penders has done to build this program and the degree of difficulty they try and put into the schedule factored in for UConn, and they get into the NCAA baseball tournament yet again. They are the 3 seed in the Norman Regional, and Friday at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus, we get the UConn Duke Athletic Showdown we've all been waiting for. Yeah, it's Oklahoma and Oral Roberts, the 1-4, and then UConn Duke. So just the tip of the cap to Jim Penders. And I mean, this was a rebuilding year that was a mess at first, and they made the tournament anyway. It's incredible what they've done.
And St. John's is in Charlottesville this weekend. They start with Mississippi State on Friday, and then UVA and Penn are the other 2 in that regional.
That's a brutal region. Because Penn's a tough out, even for an Ivy League team. They got a lot of arms there. Front end offense is pretty good too. I wouldn't be surprised to see them nick a win or 2.
And UVA has 8 or 9 kids that are hitting 300 or better.
Yeah, the UVA's. I just don't buy Mississippi State this year. They're not what they were 2 years ago, but they're still Mississippi State. So not fun. Not a great draw for them. I mean, for UConn, they kick it off with a team that I think was probably the last team to not host a regional. That probably had a really strong case too. So that's going to be tough. Oklahoma's going to be tough. Oral Roberts is pretty good. I'm not as crazy about them this year as I've seen in the past, but it's a tough regional. The thing that's just always going to be tough for UConn in these, and for all the Northeast, like the Big East teams, in the NCAA tournament, it's sometimes it's a lot less like your front end starters and it's the back ends of your bullpen. It's your middle relievers and arms. In elimination games, 3 games, 4 games into a regional, that can really ultimately make the difference. I just don't know if we've got those this year. Um, but it'll be interesting. It's an incredible achievement for them to be back again, and it was great to see them right the ship. I think athletically, this isn't as impressive of a group as they've had in the past. They went really heavy on a lot of the high-end D3 transfers. Obviously, Broadhurst was a guy last year, but Matt Malcolm from Eastern Connecticut followed him. Caleb Spur from Endicott, who, by the way, is tearing through the Division III baseball tournament. The presumptive favorites to win the national title there. Um, Jake Studley from Wheaton. They brought in a lot of guys, and I think kind of guaranteed a floor for themselves. Were some guys that I think took a little while to adjust to this level, but once they figured out, particularly got into Big East play, they were in a lot more comfortable spot. I just don't know if we're going to have the pitching depth to do a lot of damage. Duke and Oklahoma that's a tough draw for them. So we'll see. Crazier things have happened. Of course, this could be the year that we're like, they're kind of in a down year.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they end up in a super regional because baseball is stupid.
Yeah.
So
Well, you aren't waiting on any guys on the UConn team, right? For your
I got
roster?
no UConn guys. I have no UConn guys. They didn't send out a lot of dudes this year. No, not a lot of UConn guys this year. Cut down substantially on some of the higher Division I Northeast guys. So
You want to give a Garrett Coe scouting report?
Garrett. Oh, I love Garrett Coe, former star father as well. Probably one of my favorite players I've ever had. The kid is an absolute riot, by the way. Like absolutely bulldoggy of the Bulldogs, like definition of it. Very kind of grumpy kind of dude. Throws bowling balls. Like he was a guy that like the velocity hadn't really. He was more of a work in progress when they brought him in early on. When I had him, he was like maybe 84, 87, but so much sink and run on his fastball. Like he throws shot puts, he's very durable. He bounces back well. He's really started to kind of finally make those strides as a front end guy. Like, I think the thing we talked about this before, like UConn's just really, really exceptional with is developing pitchers long term. They don't usually get a lot of high impact arms early on. Done a great job over the years of finding guys that, in a lot of ways are underdeveloped or undervalued on, I should say, on the recruiting trail. Guys with more mid to high 80s, fastballs that have very high spin rates, that they're able to kind of get into the program and develop over time into like really legitimate front end dudes. I mean, go on and on. Pat Gallagher.
Yeah, Austin Peterson had 13 strikeouts today in his start at AAA, I believe it was.
Yeah, and they've just done such a great job over the years. But hats off to Penders and the crew, man. They deserve to be back here, and happy they were able to keep maintaining the streak. It was a sort of a topsy-turvy year in Northeast college baseball this year, with starting off with all the crazy coaching changes. Once what's his face left BC, that kind of set off a whole chain reaction with a bunch of late coaching changes. Northeastern looked unbelievable this year and then couldn't get out of their own way in conference play.
Is Mike Glavin still coaching Northeastern?
Glavby's still there,
yeah. Yeah, I feel for him.
Nick Puccio, who was their recruiting guy, left with Gambino to go to Penn State. So he took Puccio from Northeastern and then Scott LaSalle, who was the head coach at Southern New Hampshire. Unbelievable D2 program. Back in the College World Series again. I think this is like their 8th time in the last 10 years, which is crazy. Southern New Hampshire. So good coaching staff down there. But I mean, even BC, I mean, it looked like it was a pretty good hire early on. And they got absolutely shit pummeled in conference this year. But have a very promising recruiting class coming in, assuming they don't get drafted, because they have 2 guys that are very high likelihood draft guys. are kind of the centerpiece of that class. So we'll see how that all goes out. But like, yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a wild year, and you know, UConn was able to kind of navigate the wilderness, and now they got a chance. Once you're in the tournament, man, you got a shot.
Stranger things have happened. It's nuts. That's six tournaments in a row. My brain can't do the simple math of skipping 2020 because there wasn't one. 6 straight tournaments, 7 out of 8 is for a Northeast program. A lot of those at large too. It's pretty incredible, and if this is what the down years look like, it's a testament to what they've built with the longest tenured coaching staff in the country, and it's all UConn guys. It's pretty cool what they've got going, and it's been really a blessing the last 10, 15 years to have this extra UConn thing, right, this time of year. We all know how it is normally, right? Basketball season shuts down. That's kind of it. But the softball team's been really strong the last couple of years, and they'll eventually break through. It was a little bit like this at the start for Jim Penders too, where they were like on the cusp and they just couldn't get into the tournament, and then they got over the hump in 2010, and they've made it a regular thing. I expect that to eventually happen with the UConn softball program again with what they've got going. That's what Jim Penders has got going, and the fact that we get some UConn stuff to enjoy when the sun is out for more than 12 minutes a day, it's a blessing, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch this week. So Friday at 1 p.m. On ESPN Plus, they will take on the hated Duke Blue Devils out in Norman, Oklahoma, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Double elimination. The whole thing's on ESPN Plus throughout the weekend, so keep an eye on UConn's baseball Twitter account, and the usual suspects in UConn Twitter tend to get involved in it. So we'll try and get engaged. I think having Duke as the opponent really helps get the hate up, even though it's baseball. It's kind of hard to do it when it's like Virginia Tech, but Duke will get people's attention. So we'll see where that goes from there. But yeah, I wanted us to do a show. Hot Balls, thank you for jumping on. Alex is back. This is really stupid what they've got a chance to do here, and unfortunately, we have got to wait 22 more weeks to see it. 22 weeks left in the off season. But it's just around the corner, Hot Balls. It's sooner than you know.
It's here tomorrow, to be honest with you. It might as well be the eve of the season. I'm just gonna use that psychological engineering on myself to get myself through the off season. Although I have plenty of distractions lined up. Plenty.
You're really gonna love them. You're gonna love them. You love your team.
Yeah. I think I do. I don't know. We're gonna find out. All I know is that my pitcher from Louisiana when they get knocked out of the tournament is going to terrify his host mother.
Oh God. Yeah, this is the best time of year for Hot Balls, when he gets to root against all of his college kids to get eliminated from the NCAA tournament as fast as humanly possible. He wants dreams crushed.
Need to get you guys here. Come on. Games aren't going to win themselves.
What do you mean, Louisiana? What do you mean Louisiana's in a super
Monkey
regional?
Boy night. We need you here, and we can't get embarrassed at home by 20 runs, all right? We need you here as badly as possible. What's up?
The last thing you need is a Louisiana run to a super regional. That might actually destroy.
They're legit. They're a legit dog in that regional. Like, they're scary. They're a top 20 team.
Guys, I need you to be good, but I don't need you to be that good. Can you just can you just get knocked out? Do me a solid. So I haven't got to put some more like high school and D3 guys in here. But
Vanderbilt's got to get their ass knocked out soon too. That'll help me out. Louisiana and Vandy need to go.
You're over leveraged.
Yeah.
We need to be shorting Vanderbilt and Louisiana futures. What we're saying?
No, I just text all my coaches of the teams that have an abundance of players from, and I was talking to the LIU coach the other day. I was like, I hope it's quick and painless.
You always have a way to say what people want to hear. I'm sure that brought a tear to their eye.
I'm very transparent in my self-interest in myself. All right, like I'm not I got one opportunity on this spinning rock. I am draining every bit of advantage out of it that I can possibly do that. It's like today, and I tweeted it out. I want Alex Caravan back because I'm selfish. I want it for me more than anybody. So here we are, and I want these guys to get knocked out of the NCAA tournament for me because I need that. That helps me. So we'll see. We'll see what my psychological state is on the next episode. It could be very good. It could be very bad.
Well, you have something to hope for now. Even if this goes bad, you have the hope of a UConn three-peat. It is to the degree it can be realistic as a hope. We have it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to be a manic mess the next. This is actually the scariest part of our season because, like, if your temp guys really blow goats, you can be out of the running before your team even gets here. There's teams that have started off like 1-13. It's like my ultimate nightmare. So you gotta hope.
Isn't the team that's in first place? Don't they not have a stadium?
I'm not gonna even get into it. It's so preposterous and dumb that it would make your head spin.
I hope they win the league. I really do. I think that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
There's an idea was getting floated around about having like a rogue Twitter account for them. Like, who needs fans?
Oh my God! Please let me have the keys. Please.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, who needs fans? We don't want family entertainment. We want people to not come to your park. Like, there's a whole thing they could do. I don't know. We'll see.
You're gonna have heel. You're gonna have a heel in the league. This is great.
Yeah, you gotta have the bad guys. You gotta load at the bad guys. So, but no, we have a very busy weekend. I've got to get all my logistics up. By the time June 10th happens, my life becomes a lot more sane. So once I've got all of the jets landed on the aircraft carrier, so to speak.
It's a similar level of importance, but
very important.
We got Alex back. We've got a team. We've got a hell of a team here, and they're on campus. I mean, Liam's on campus. The new guys are coming in. They're already. Everybody loved the freeze frame, thanks to No Escalators, of the moment that Luke Murray embraced Liam McNeely. I have
that so much, particularly with the timing. Every new player that shows up, I'm like, thank God.
It's just it's like World War II. You're just looking at the horizon, waiting to see.
There's just some guys you recruit, you get them, and you just don't believe they're going to be there until they actually show up.
I know you said you'd be here, but are you going to be here? And they show up.
Yeah, I got the Division I leader in home runs one year, and we got him. And I remember our coach was like texting him every 3 hours as he was driving up from Kentucky. And it was like,
what did he think was going to happen?
How's the drive going? Like, I'm like, where's he going? What does he think he's going to drive to Indiana on here? So he goes, I'm not going to believe that he's here until he's here. And I remember we actually drove from the office to the hitting facility that we were at. You could hear him taking BP. That was like Christmas.
Like he was gonna get this. Like he was gonna get the Scranton and go. No, this is it. I can't. That's it. I'm turning back.
Well, his teammate that came with him was like a 2-3 year guy with us. So like every month we were texting him, be like, "You sure he's coming? Is he coming? He's not thinking about not coming, is he?" So he just gets certain guys. So I empathize with it, man. You know, they're not here. They're not on your team until they're in the uniform and stepping in the batter's box and stepping out of the court. Especially nowadays, you never know what could happen.
You never know.
So I just mentally, just right where I was at that moment.
$22 weeks. God, I wish
we have a
another one.
Breaking decision. Jameer Watkins, the FSU kid, withdrew at 11:59.
Oh, that's right. It is 12:02. We should hang out for a couple minutes. This is like the trade deadline when they announce the things that came through 5 minutes before.
So do they have to like file paperwork like they do at the trade deadline? So you get like a thing, and then it's still official even if the paperwork, as long as the paperwork's in before thing.
I believe so.
I think the big one they're waiting on also is Jackson Robinson, is another one. folks are waiting on.
Brigham Young, right?
Yes, that sounds about right. But Jameer Watkins is back and might be in our lives because St. John's in
St.
Michigan.
John's.
So is that the only guy you think's attached to St. John's right now, Jaden? Are there other names?
Dylan Mitchell, but I don't think so. Mitchell, Trayvon Brazil, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near St. John's. He'll get somebody bigger, I think. Nothing yet on Robinson, so he might still be in the draft.
Trying to figure out this Tipton. Hold on.
Yeah. Gavoni broke the Watkins story, so
Okay. No, Tipton's not even tweeting. He's tweeting about he's a good recruit for Syracuse, whatever they stink.
yeah. And then he'll tweet about LeBron Jr. tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, we want to do the Bronny thing before we go. Like they're taking money on him at number 1 in Vegas. They're willing to let you pay them. This is a thing. I think he's a second round Laker pick, but
Yeah, I don't know.
we kind of
It's
did
so
the Bronny
fucked
thing.
up. Such brutal nepotism. I don't know.
Yeah, and it was
The
he
whole
did well.
thing kind of makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, he did well at the combine. I expect him to do well at the combine. It's not about physical measurables or stuff that you can't shoot.
Or play defense.
Yeah, well, other than that, I mean, look, those aren't really important things. So, the deadline is closed, so Alex is back, and he can't change his mind. It is 12:05. It's too late, Alex. You're stuck. You're stuck with us. You're stuck with this fan base for another year, another go, another NIL bag, and I respect him for doing it too, because like more or less in terms of the major players, shout out Haas, Sampson. He's like the last major guy who's still here. He has nothing to prove. His legacy was set, but he's willing to come back and take a shot at this thing. And it'd be pretty special if they just even make a deep run next year. I don't want to. We can dream about a three-peat, but I don't want to make that in any way a reasonable expectation. I can't wait to see how Dan Hurley makes it the only possible outcome by September 5th in the minds of all of his players. But for Alex to come back, and he's going to get his
Nobody
degree.
even talked to about this in college basketball.
Yeah, and we lost,
Like,
Bill Walton.
Who do you go talk to about that? Like, yeah. Well, there's even that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no frame of reference for it. And they're going to give it, they're going to give a shot. That's going to be a challenge, obviously, for Dan. One of the things that really helped last year, based on what he said, was his close relationship with Billy Donovan, who was the last head coach to go back to back. You imagine when he calls Billy asking him, how'd the third year go? Because let me tell you, folks, it did not go well for Florida.
What not to do this time? Yeah.
So we'll see, but it's incredible. It's unprecedented by anybody who's alive. Basically, I mean, I'd have to check the UCLA rosters, but it's nuts what they're trying to do, and they've got the roster to maybe give it a shot, and that's all you can ask for. And we're fortunate as fans, and we're blessed, and we're lucky that they aren't just like, because if they stunk next year, could you blame them? But they're going to be in it. They're going to be a national factor. Today was a big day in terms of also, I should probably mention the recruiting offers that they made. We're already looking ahead to next year's class, and they're in the room with all the big guys now. This was not like a one-off thing with Cooper Flagg or Liam McNeely. They're the kind of the anchor point of the sport right now, and they're gonna be able to keep this thing going for a long time, I would think, as long as Dan's willing to do it. So it's exciting. It's very exciting, and it's something to look forward to for those of you that are godforsaken Mets fans, because you haven't got anything else. So there's that, which is
Yeah.
nice.
What the hell was that today? By the way,
That was fun.
It was beautiful.
that's a only New York Mets kind of story.
Have a player get ejected, to throw his glove over the netting, in the post-game press availability clarify that he did not regret throwing the glove in the stands, but that he was the worst player on the worst team in the whole fucking Major League Baseball. Regarding confusion, this is from Anthony DeComo. Regarding confusion over whether Lopez said he was on the worst team or was the worst teammate, I'm told Lopez later explained that his comments were a combination of both, the worst teammate on the worst team. And then, breaking news, the Mets planned DFA reliever Jorge Lopez. So the Mets, that's the Mets. So I know there are some Mets UConn fans. You don't need to worry about them this year. Just spend your time doing anything else. Get into music. Go to Saratoga. Check out Hartford Summer Pro-Am. That'll be back soon. Hopefully at St. Joe's. Go to the beach, of course.
Don't go to
beach. Go to the beach. And now we get hot balls. We get to turn our attention also to the guys that are still in the draft and where Donovan goes and where Cam goes and where Steph goes. Brain is fried. I'm sorry, folks. It's usually bad, but tonight's even worse. I've had a lot on my mind. And that'll be fun. And we're going to get through it together because the off season is almost over, hot balls. That's my closing thought. I'm actually going to try and close. We're almost done. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Alex is back. We will be back soon.
I hate this fucking weather.
You love it.
Keep in touch with yourself.